The filmmaker, it gives 1 lakh rupees to the filmmaker to make his or her next film. With mentorship from Kashish, and then the film will be shown at the next guest Kashish after going for a process of 1 year. So actually we have not yet announced it. Because even told the filmmakers we will announce that, and the jury is going to make a decision to the grant also. So that's something that's most exciting. So yeah, that's something we're quite excited about. Also, like I think there are 6 films which are in competition for Q3 Film Grant. It's been enabled by a sponsor in US who wants to make an audience at a sponsor. It's called Lucas Visual as a sponsor. So that's something that basically also looking at Kashish as a platform where we nurture younger filmmakers who make films on education, irrespective of their own sexual orientation. That's what we're hoping that, like, especially also a lot of regional languages. In fact, both the films which I saw was interesting, that Marathi and Marathi, Hindi. I think we need to also make these films in the local languages so that more people can understand and more. I could see the reaction, when people were sitting here, I could see them. But did you want to make a Hindi film or something to start off your journey with it?
Not really. See, Marathi comes naturally because that's my mother tongue. So when I get to writing, these days I think in English, but Marathi comes very naturally. The dialogue comes very naturally. Again, it's a dialect. It's not the Marathi spoken in Bombay. It is the Marathi spoken in Gujarat, which is where I'm from. So it comes very naturally. So I think you should tell your own stories. You should tell your personal stories.
And what you like? Was a conscious decision maker in the local language?
Yeah, as a producer, I think for content in India, we actually are encouraging people to write in their own language, write their own stories. And we have several films, in short films as well as feature films in pre-production at the moment, ranging from 6 other languages to local languages. So it's quite exciting to see what the ground level realities are and how we incorporate that into cinema that will go ahead. But our sort of USP is basically to make sure that it's India-based stories.
So anybody has any questions about the festival or the 2 films which we have seen, and
I have a question. I want to ask both or all 3 of you are filmmakers here. Do you at all find it schizophrenic that on one side the state that doesn't want to, it has we have the decriminalization of homosexuality, and on the other side films are being celebrated, awarded, so by the same system. So in that sense, do you feel this is the first stirrings of where they want to get to? Do you see this as a positive sign, change? What do you want to say about that?
I mean, one of the things which I can say is, like, especially in terms of like Breaking Free winning an award, was also the fact that, like, I think when some of the jury members came up to me after the presentation, they actually said that, like, we were looking at the issue, that's one aspect of it, that you're talking about sexual misconduct and you're talking about the LGBT community. But I think more important than that is how the film is made. So I think the national awards and the awards which both Nishan's film and my film has got is also to do with the way cinema by itself, within that frame, I think that is pretty, I would say, progressive of the National Award jury and the government to allow, just the decision by the jury members to just say that, okay, this is the frame, this is what it is, and we only recognize that excellence. And the content, the issue is important, but not overriding, So I think that was pretty interesting, that I think we are happy that though people have asked aspersions on the government in many ways, but I think they have not stopped anything from happening. I mean, one of the things, I still think the government has gone with the flow. I don't think they've actually put too many barriers in any aspect, I would say, Of course, the Supreme Court has been a bit negative in that sense, but I think that's nothing to do with the government. It's the fact that, in fact, like, BJP politicians have come to Kashish, BJP politicians have come to LGBT meetings, so they have been supportive in many ways, But the fact is, they've not taken a particular stand and done something more than, that's one of the things I was,
Yes.
No, I think he's said it perfectly. I just want to add, I got an A certificate for this film. And
For this one?
Yeah, for this. I was expecting a UA actually because there was a new scene and probably the subject matter. But when I got an A, I was really shocked. And I asked them, they said that it's because of the subject matter. It's nothing that you've shown or spoken, because there are no abuses either. So I said, okay, and when the national award came in and the citation read a stepping stone towards breaking the old shackles of the society. So I guess there is a progress. Let's just hope for the wall.
Yes, Shiva. You feel the jury is sending a signal to the government, a not so subtle one, to go in a certain direction?
I mean, it's highly possible, but the way we look at things is that, the way we work with collaborators, we don't necessarily need that acceptance. We're working towards basically mainstream society and putting our lives out there for that. So in that sense, the acceptance that comes from the government or the accolades or whatever, that's not really what we are doing. We just want to put content out there. I mean, I'm very selfish. The reason why I became a publisher is because I could not get to queer stories. The reason why I'm sort of creating a channel for short stories like this is because I could not see, short stories in multiple languages available freely all over. So we have taken a slightly, non-mainstream attitude in how we perceive and what we produce out there. So for us, it doesn't really matter. We will put whatever we need. So that's why you see a lot of swearing in there, right? I will never take it to censorship board to have it certified. I'll make sure it's available freely everywhere.
I just want to add to one thing what Nishant said. Actually, what has also happened is I think there's a new committee set up which Mr. Shamdanigal is chairing to look at the censorship laws. They have formed a committee. There's a tribune happening. So actually, I went and talked to Mr. Shamdanigal about it. That there must be a very strong case made for LGBT people, cinema per se, that like it should not be looked upon, in a different way. I mean, like as I said, this film should have got a U certificate. There's really nothing in that doubt, But what Mr. Shamdanigal said was like I think the censorship, in that sense, is correlated with what the society is about, how it is perceived. And I think what he made this is actually a private conversation. I don't know whether it should be made public, but the fact is, what he said was interesting. Is like if sexuality is not talked about in school books, in school curriculums, I don't think even the generation is not really prepared in a very open public way for accepting issues around homosexuality. So if it's not in the school book, the parents will not discuss it. If the parents don't discuss it, the society won't discuss it. So if that society is not discussing it, then the censor board will not finally discuss it either way. So for that to change, what I'm saying for the censor board to accept that anything to do with LGBT or homosexuality could be given a U certificate without even a doubt, I think that would actually come down to this whole circle in many ways. Though my previous film, Purple Skies, did get a U certificate. It was a documentary, and actually they were talking a lot about sex and sexuality, which was surprising for me. How did it happen? But something like this should have definitely got a review. There's absolutely nothing in that film which should have warranted a certificate, except that it's about homosexuality.
Again, it depends on the board and the kind of people there are in. So maybe that was different. Different board.
We have had trouble on that front.
Any other questions? So we are actually also waiting for Mr. Hansal Mehta. He's on the way, so we can just take a 2-minute break and we can talk again when he comes back. Is it good?
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to talk to Nishant or Shobna or one, please.
Thank you. Jitu.
Introducing Mr. Hansal Mehta, the director of Aligarh. It's the film which we want to be showing at Kashish. It will be shown on Saturday evening. We are really happy that we are showing it here once again. I would like to call upon Nishant Roy also, please bombard him. And Ms. Shobna. Join us. So, how would showing again at what do you have
It's much larger than we are liberty. Liberty is so much more than just liberty here. The same liberty is होने के बाद फाइट करें
Any questions you have for Mr. Mehta about Aligarh, about Kashish, and to Nishant and Shobna, we'll be happy to answer about questions.
If you want to repeat around.
I think it would be great if we just talk a little bit about the movie and
Okay, boom, आगे ले ले
Yeah, we, Aligarh,
वो एक सेकंड सर राकेश boom आगे ले ले
चलो आराम से कर लो बताओ
राकेश उधर ऑडियो वाला है थोड़ा उस साइड से थोड़ा उस साइड
together and actually share.
What about like, I mean, was there any kind of apprehensions of it being tagged as a gay film? That's something which.
No, I'm proud that it's tagged as a gay film. It, among other things, some of my distributors were apprehensive about it, saying that won't call it a gay film, and it is. I mean, it's it's a film. It's more about it's got a human perspective.
It's not a gay film per se, as such.
Yeah.
It's a larger struggle.
And I don't think I think all my films have been gay films. People have always felt that this sort of homoerotic.
For me, what was interesting also is like, I mean, Dr. Siddha's journey, has been a very, very tumultuous, difficult journey in terms of the ups and downs he went through in the last few years of his life. And you have brought it up so beautifully and not actually also extremely politicizing the issue, I mean, if the political is there, but I think what you've done is like you've placed the personal above the political, and I think that is a victory in terms of like, the way you've taken that. Was it a conscious decision or emerged?
When Apurva was writing the film, both of us, our approach, even whether it was Shahid, whether it was City Lights, my previous work, the approach was always to place the personal above the political. The political is backdrop, that's atmosphere. Unless I don't invest personally into a story, I cannot empathize with the struggle, with the political upheavals that create this kind of tremendous life for people like Professor Siddha's.
In fact, like, I mean, for me, what is also like with Manoj Bajpayee's pitch of playing that particular character was something which was like, I think, so well pitched, there was not a strong note above or below, So have you worked with Manoj before?
I'd done a film called Dilpe Matliya. That's why I say I started with people at that time thought it was a gay film. Male bonding, there were three guys. There was Manoj Bajpayee, Aditya Srivastav, and Saurabh Shukla. Always riding triple seat on a scooter, really small scooter. And that was the constant image in the film. So people always felt that there was some gay tendency in my film. So yeah, that I had worked with Manoj. That is nearly 16 years ago. But this is, I think, by far Manoj Bajpayee's finest performance, and it is. At the risk of sounding very, very pompous, it is perhaps one of the finest performances of this year.
Yeah.
Definitely, it was a difficult character. It was, and difficult in the sense, I gave my brief to him was that you're a lonely man, and it's easy to say that you're lonely. It's easy to write that he's lonely, but to portray loneliness, to actually be in that space without the support of dialogue, without the support of too many props, without any physical activity, to just be in that stillness and yet create such immense empathy. I think that is a triumph. It's great. That's a great actor at work. The entire song, me that is the moment. आपकी नज़रों ने सुना लता मंगेशकर playing in the background, and there are 3 shots. If I had my way, it would be 1 shot. But the film is written by my editor.
And your cameraman, of course, Satya. Satya.
Satya.
Both of them have done such a brilliant job.
And Satya, he is held on to an image for as long as it holds. And he actually pushed me. He said, "Sir, this image is so powerful. Let's not have too many images. Let's not mess it up." And Manoj's eyes, Satya has spent so much time. Deep Chatterjee, the cinematographer, when he saw the film, he came out and said, he called Satya also, and he said, you lit up the eyes so beautifully. Special attention paid to Manoj's eyes.
Actually, one of the things which for me is interesting about all the 3 people's films, basically, also that like the whole idea of capturing very realistically the whole milieu, in different ways. I mean, Shobna's film is about 2 cops actually apprehending 2 men on the road, and 2 young guys, and try to be very vocal about that we'll arrest you under Section 377, and how a mother comes and confronts him, confronts the police, and his Nishan's film is about a young boy who wants to dress up in the home. All the 3 films actually have a very realistic feel to it, So I just want to know, was it a conscious decision to kind of stay without any drama, Shobna and Nishant? I just want to know, they're not overt dramas, it's just kind of realistic kind of things.
Before I answer that question, I just want to say, Hansal, I watched Aligarh with Chitra Palekar.
Right, at that show when it got delayed.
Yes, yeah. And she sobbed the entire way. I've known Chitra for quite a few years with her daughter as well.
Yeah.
And she could see so much in her daughter, of her daughter's experience that could have been.
Right.
Because Shalmali is also an academic, and this was set in an academic area. Also in terms of, a person's loneliness, like you said, the way it came out. She sobbed through the entire movie. And then
I read her piece.
Yeah, and then I went and interviewed her, then that's when that piece came out as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was just like, for me, Chitra, when I work with that, people, when I get questions about, how do I deal with my parents? So Chitra is my go-to person because she's a parent.
Right.
So she talks quite well with the parents and convinces them about certain issues and things like that. And she just sobbed through that entire movie and she loved it. She just could not stop talking about it. It was great. I'm actually not a filmmaker. I'm just first time. There's not enough content. Yes.
Yes, we have been in touch.
Yes. Gotham through Gotham Healthcare, right? Yeah. Yeah. So our it's about telling our stories without the drama, without actually making it sensational. We are into just plain storytelling. So either through words, with publications, or through movies, and we need to connect with hearts. That's the only way we will get change. I think we will, and also to present our stories in a manner that can be digested by the mainstream. It's not about confronting them, it's about talking with them, it's about convincing them. So that's the sort of mandate we've taken on as producers.
Two things actually. One is the kind of cinema that you have watched over the years and that has inspired you. So that definitely seeps in. I have been watching a lot of world cinema, which on one hand is very realistic, like the Iranian cinema, and on one hand is very, very stylized, like Almodovar cinema. So that definitely seeps in. But there is not a conscious decision to say that, okay, this is how I'm going to shoot. Now, when you write it on paper, I have written a character who's 12-year-old, who's living in a remote town of Vidal, and in the 90s. So now the moment I say this, there is a certain image that comes to my mind, which is a very real, very earthy image. So I go through it. Now, if you see the Aradha, there are pockets where it becomes very stylized, especially the Paribun and so on. So this is where the Bollywood seeps in. This is the dream of a gay boy. This is what should be, and then it completely comes back to reality, which is and which should be. So that's the world we transit in. That's the world we always we keep telling ourselves that ऐसा होता तो अच्छा होता, पर वैसा नहीं है, and then you come back. So I think it's just a cinematic tool that you shifted. No conscious decision, but it keeps happening inside, I think, the mind of the cinematographer and the filmmaker.
In fact, what we are really excited about also is the fact that this year we almost received around 70 Indian films out of 800 submissions. I mean, we received a humongous number of LGBT films from all over the world, but the 70 of them were Indian, and it was a tough choice for us to even pick up the best of the best, you know, in terms of putting it.
Are we opening with an Indian film?
We are opening with Carol,
Which is a pity.
which is a pity.
You know, Mami took that initiative of opening with Aligarh, having an opening film as an Indian film. And I think Kashish
If we had Aligarh as an opener, if it was waiting, then I would have taken this right away. So,
I'm just saying that.
I'll tell you what, Hansal, let me be very honest, okay? Films which are going to be released do not want to open with Kashish. Okay, they do not, the marketing team, the production team do not want that particular attachment, you know, to Kashish even now.
Yeah.
Because there are two films which are releasing, you
It's a
know.
conversation we can have offline.
What I'm saying, what I'm saying, there's one thing which is releasing now, okay, which we wanted a premium status, you know.
Right.
But I know the apprehensions which are there, you know.
But even festivals, see, the thing is, even I'm not talking about Aligarh.
Correct.
It could have been Dharavi
Yeah.
as an opening film.
Opening film, that's one.
But if we, take that initiative, so what if the film is released? There's this whole scramble for premiere status, you know. But if you take that initiative and say, okay, Ian McKellen is attending and is going to sit and watch an Indian film, it's a huge support to the, LGBT cinema of the country. It's a massive encouragement, and it will take the festival forward in the coming years. So I mean it's not a criticism.
Criticism, I understand.
It is,
Right.
from somebody who feels very strongly about it.
No, we really want that to happen. We want more Indian cinema to come through. We want more, we able to showcase it much better. But what I was also saying is, I think the quality of Indian cinema has really improved a lot. There's a lot of diversity. And I think a lot of films which we're showing at Kashish, Indian films specifically, also have moved away from the मैं कौन हूँ, मैं क्या हूँ, that whole angst.
Are you showing Kapoor and Sons?
No, Kapoor and Sons we decided not to really kind of go to, because I think people have seen it, and also we feel that we need to show films which more and more people can come and watch, and more diversity. And yeah, Kapoor and Sons is a great film, but not.
Yeah, it's also coming of age.
Yeah.
People who made Dostana,
Definitely.
made Kapoor and Sons. I mean, it's a huge leap.
So I think that is interesting when you're showing stories which are about two men or two women or transgender. Even there's one film on transgender called Normalcy, you know. And there this transgender person, it's a short film, but this person is just a wife and a homemaker and nothing to do with her being a transgender, you know. It's just that she goes to college, she studies, she wants to be empowered in many ways. But I think the film name itself is Normalcy. And the whole idea of the transgender being normal, and we just saw a film today called Manam, which is about two transgender people wanting their child, you know. She feels that I'm a transgender person, I've become a woman now, you know. But my womanhood is complete only when I have a child, and it's a different thought. I mean, what I'm saying, so we are seeing a lot more different kinds of expressions of films coming in, and in different languages. We are showing around 9 languages, Indian languages this year. So I think we hope that, in some sense, Indian cinema, LGBT cinema has matured, and it becomes kind of larger part of a larger mainstream, which your film and is already doing that in many ways. You know? Okay, any questions anybody has? We can, otherwise we keep talking. So, I'll say it's a private chat room.
I think we're done.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to talk to Mr. Hansal Mehta, please.
सर सबसे पहले तो कशिश के बारे में क्या
सर, सेंटर
लोग किस तरह से जुड़े हैं कशिश के साथ और किस तरह की फिल्में दिखाई जाती है, खास करके यहाँ पर जो फिल्में दिखाई गई LGBT को लेकर, तो उस बारे में क्या ख्याल है आपका?
मेरे ख्याल से मैं मतलब सिनेमा को LGBT में सीमित नहीं करना चाहता हूँ। मेरा मानना है कि कशिश एक ह्यूमन राइट्स फेस्टिवल है, ऐसा फेस्टिवल है जिसमें लोगों को समान रूप से जो अधिकार मिलने चाहिए उस पर जो फिल्म है वो दिखाई जाती है कशिश में। जैसे कुछ साल पहले हमने शाहिद दिखाई तो वो LGBT फिल्म नहीं, ह्यूमन राइट्स फिल्म। तो वही है कि भाई हम उनके मार्जिनलाइज जो होते हैं उनको अलग अलग नाम दिए जाते हैं। कभी आप दलित कहते हो, कभी आप मुस्लिम कहते हो, कभी आप LGBT कहते हो, कभी आप ट्रांसजेंडर कहते हो, वो नाम है। लेकिन असलियत ये है कि लोगों को मार्जिनलाइज किया जाता है। उन पर जो सिनेमा बनता है वो हमें अक्सर कशिश में देखने मिलता है, बहुत फोकस तरीके से।
सर जैसे कि आपने थोड़ी देर पहले जिक्र किया था कि जो पहली फिल्म होनी चाहिए, जो इंडियन फिल्म होनी चाहिए, जैसे कि लोगों तक पहुंच सके, तो ये कितना ज़रूरी होता है? क्योंकि जैसे मामले जैसे आपने बताया,
मैं मानता हूँ जैसे मामी अलीगढ़ मामी की ओपनिंग फिल्म थी, मेरा मानना था कि ये बहुत बड़ा स्टेप है। एक मेजर फिल्म फेस्टिवल एक हिंदुस्तानी फिल्म के साथ ओपन कर रही है और मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ यही जो ट्रेडिशन जो है चलता रहेगा। हमें मतलब प्राइड होना चाहिए हमारी। और मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कशिश का भी यही होगा। मैं हमारी यहाँ मतलब क्योंकि शायद फीचर फिल्म के रूप में अलीगढ़ रिलीज़ हो चुकी है, उसकी थिएट्रिकल कमर्शियल रिलीज़ हो चुकी है, तो एक फेस्टिवल को मैं प्रीमियर स्टेटस ना दे सकूँ इसलिए वो शायद उसमें स्क्रीन नहीं कर पाए।
इसके अलावा जो है आपको हमेशा से अलग तरह का सिनेमा के लिए जाना जाता है, आप अलग तरह से सिनेमा बनाते हैं।
अलग का मतलब क्या हुआ?
मतलब जैसे हर तरह के जॉनर में आप एक्सप्लोर करते हैं खुद को। तो
कोशिश मैं कहानी कहने की कोशिश करता हूँ। मेरी कहानियों कभी कभी मेरी फिल्मों को अलग इसलिए माना जाता है क्योंकि अक्सर हमारी जो आम फिल्में हैं उसमें कहानी नहीं होती, क्योंकि कहानियाँ हैं तो इसको अलग समझने लगते हैं।
ओके अंशल सर, जैसे जब हम बात करें हम फिल्म के बिजनेस, जब तक फिल्म अच्छा बिजनेस ना है तो आगे लोग भी कतराते हैं कि चलो इस टॉपिक को ना बनाएं क्योंकि लोग इसे एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो कितना बड़ा दुख होता है कि अच्छी कहानी लोग एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं, या भी टाइम से पहले आ गई।
देखिए मैं एज अ फिल्म मेकर मैं इस बात का दुख नहीं कर सकता हूँ। मैं फिल्म बनाकर पूरी ईमानदारी के साथ फिल्म बनाकर लोगों तक पहुँचाने की कोशिश करता हूँ। हम सिर्फ कोशिश कर सकते हैं। अगर ऑडियंस नहीं बड़े तादाद में ऑडियंस नहीं जाती थिएटर और फिल्म को बॉक्स ऑफिस नंबर नहीं देखती है तो मुझे लगता है कि उसमें कहीं पर फिल्म से ज़्यादा ऑडियंस का फिगर है।
रीजनल सिनेमा इन दिनों काफ़ी अच्छा कर रहा है, जैसे अभी सैराट मूवी आई, तो सर ऐसा कोई ख्याल है कि आप ऐसे ही कोई टॉपिक को रीजनल सिनेमा के रूप में उतारें? क्योंकि रिमोट एरिया में
मुझे बहुत इच्छा है। मैं गुजराती फिल्म बनाना चाहता हूँ। मतलब मैंने बहुत साल पहले गुजराती फिल्म लिखी भी थी जो एक्चुअली एक गे कपल पर थी। दो मर्दों की प्रेम कहानी थी, लव स्टोरी थी दो मर्दों के बीच जो गुजराती में थी। लेकिन गुजराती फिल्म के लिए वैसे भी प्रोड्यूसर नहीं मिलते, तो ये वाली गुजराती फिल्म के लिए तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं मिलेंगे।
तो ऐसा कोई प्लान है अगर किसी को कन्विंस करना चाहे, अगर बनाना चाहे आप तो चलिए?
प्लान तो है लेकिन मतलब उसको बनाने के लिए पैसे नहीं मिलेंगे।
तो इसके अलावा कोई अपकमिंग प्रोजेक्ट जो आप शेयर करना चाहें?
बस अभी बहुत जल्द कंगना रनौत के साथ जो फिल्म एक शुरू होगी सिमरन, वो बहुत जल्द शुरू होगी।
Over the years, Bollywood has evolved in this respect. So do you think Bollywood has matured enough in terms of LGBT cinema?
It has. I mean, this year has been particularly encouraging. You had Aligarh, of course, my own film, which should be too complex about it, but it dealt with the humanist element of rather than treating it like a into quotes LGBT subject. Then you had Kapoor and Sons, which handled the entire gay issue in a very, very mature, very sweet way.
So do you think we've
Then we
arrived?
had Dear Dad, another film called Dear Dad, which again dealt with, I've heard, I've not seen the film, but again it's dealt with in a very mature way.
So there's we're on the right track.
There is some hope now. I see a glimmer of hope. You know, in a time when the atmosphere is to suppress people's voice, where the atmosphere is to, you know, where Section 377 is still in existence and it is, you know, sort of a blot on our democracy. At such a time, our cinema deals with the LGBT issue in such a mature manner, and that is encouraging. It means that we as filmmakers are trying to take our voice to the people who make these stupid laws.
Okay, Hansal sir, कोई भी कहानी हो निर्देशक के लिए सब चीज़ सिखा के या बता के जाते हैं एनी पर्टिकुलर प्रिकॉशन दैट यू वांट टू टेक इन फ्यूचर अलीगढ़ के बाद कुछ ऐसा रहेगा आपके दिमाग में कि ये प्रिकॉशन मतलब इस लाइक कि ये चीज़ें ना रखूँ या फिर थोड़ा इसमें बेटर और कर पाऊँ या फिर कहानी को
चालू कर दिया तुमने।
सर प्लीज़
क्या
अगले प्रोजेक्ट्स में क्या क्या प्रिकॉशंस
हर फिल्म से हम कुछ ना कुछ सीखते हैं। हर फिल्म से कुछ नई सीख मिलती है जो हम अपनी आगे वाली फिल्मों में जिसका इस्तेमाल करते हैं, जिसका इस्तेमाल नहीं करते कि भाई ये गलत था शायद ये, तो हम गलतियों से सीखते हैं। इंसान वही है, इंसान अपनी गलतियों से सीखता है और आगे बढ़ता है।
आइडिया